Ted and I started talking about what will we do for the next classical ballet that we need to put on the repertoire of Dutch National Ballet about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And then we came up with, well, actually we can't perform La Bayadère as it was anymore because we've already postponed it. And maybe it's a valuable thing for the art form if we can find a way to put La Bayadère on stage, preserving all the jewels from the ballet, but take care of the connotations towards Orientalism and the appropriation of it. When Petit Pas made the ballet, for instance, he had never been to India, so he didn't know it was a fantasy. But now we do know about India, and we also know that we did occupy, there was slavery, there was bloodshed, and we do want to, with this production, we want to honor more the people that helped us inspire Bayadère. For instance, around 1839, there was a troupe of dancers and musicians that came to Europe under an agent, and they performed in many places, in Paris for the King Philip, in England, in Holland, and they were doing the literally Indian dance. So they were kind of a big hit because nobody knew about that, and so they had to, there was even criticism that they weren't light enough and everything, but that was the authentic Indian dance. And it influenced, I would say, us. Everything that we see can influence us to use our fantasy to make something. But these dancers themselves, because of the way that things went in the society in India, but also because of the occupation, they're not allowed to do these dances anymore. So it's inappropriate for us to take those elements of the dances and sort of make our own thing from it and then perform it, while they don't have a voice. So we tried to honor also all those people that inspired us to make La Bayadère, and that goes very far back. And we show them in the form of, it begins the production with an overture, with a film of eyes opening as if they look at us, and the projections of Indian people come back during the scene changes when the curtain goes in, and they are on a wavy curtain. They come in as guests to the Eclipse Pavilion, for instance. There's memories of the people who were involved in making La Bayadère in the first place. We found 2 lovely people who were willing to work with us on a new concept, really from bottom up, so not that they come last minute and they do some alterations. So it's Dr. Priya Srinivasan. She's Australian now. She lives there, and she's a scholar, and she's wrote many pamphlets and a book called Sweating Saris. And she's an anthropologist and a classical Indian dancer and a choreographer. And Kalpana Raghuraman, who is living in Holland, working in Holland, Dutch originally from India, and has her own company where she mixes also her background of Indian classical ballet with her new concepts. And so we're a team of 4 because Ted started talking about the concept with us, and then we felt we were forming a team. So we've been Zooming for the last years. I think we started the first Zoom in 2023. After all this talk, we came up with a concept together of actually changing the lens. So we have, for the first time in Dutch history, as far as I know, the Dutch VOC history on stage in the ballet. So when the curtain opens, we're actually in India, we're in the south of India, and we're very near the fort that is still there, and the temple that's actually a 10-minute walk. So it's a perfect setting. It's based on an existing area and place and buildings. And the VOC has It's near the Coromandel Coast, so it's on the sea, and the VOC has landed there with the ships, and they're trading in textile. So there's a textile factory in the vicinity, which now the fakirs, that used to be the fakirs, are the textile painters. And all the main characters are Dutch. So we see Johan Nieuwhof. He's the writer traveler. What happened in that time very often is that people traveled all over the world, wrote about everything, and were also very interesting for the locals because they could tell their story and everybody wanted to hang out with them and be in the book. And so he's the go-between everybody, including Nikia, Solor, who we still kept in the original names because actually they're made up, they're not Indian names, so that was fine. And Nikia is, she does dance in the temple, but she also dances in other venues for people's private occasions, houses, performs in the street, in the palaces. And she, in our story, is born probably from, you know, in the time of the English were there and the Portuguese and the Dutch. There was a lot of mixed race people. And so she was probably an abandoned child by her mother because she was not pure Indian, but she was of mixed race. And then she was raised by the people of the temple. So this is how she became a dancer. Solor is a captain in the Dutch army. And we found this character, Delanoy, who was a very famous captain who actually fought also in the end with the Indians. So he was turning, you know, also things around for himself. The story remains the same, and that is that the love story is about Nikia and Solor falling in love. But there's a problem because of caste difference, and also Solor has to marry the daughter of the governor, who used to be the Raj, the king. And the governor is his superior, and Solor comes from a family of warriors, and his main goal is actually to get ahead in life. And he finds himself tied in a knot because on the one hand, his career, he makes the wrong decision. So he marries, or he gets engaged to, in this case, Alida, because she's the Dutch daughter of the governor, who is actually, the name Alida is the real daughter of the governor that we're using. And in that way, the love story is actually the same, because the opponent of the governor, which is in the old version, the Brahmin, in our version is the Dutch man called Lambert, and he is a merchant, and he is corrupted. He existed in real life. He was in charge for 20 years about the trade, and he had his connections in every corner, and he also had concubines. He also had a lot of power over everyone. So in this way, we have the governor with his strength and power, and we have Lambert, who are the two people that are plotting actually against Nikia. So yes, I think by doing this, we, the Dutch, are looking at ourselves in India at that time and the consequences it had for everything and everyone involved in that period. And I think that's, I'm really proud of the fact that we have a Dutch production in that sense, but I think it's also universal production, because in that sense, you know, any occupation of any country has that result in whatever form you may. It's surprising actually how little had to be changed in the actual choreography. Of course, the scenes with the new characters have to be different because they're not the Brahmin and they're not the Raj. So I tried to give them each their own personality. But the love story is, the structure of that is exactly the same. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I mean, there are companies that only decide to do only the second act, you know, as a divertisement. But I found when I saw that, and also I danced that in Dutch National Ballet way before, when I just joined the company, and Galina Samshova was coaching us. We only did the second act. But it's like Giselle, without the first act, it doesn't have the same impact emotionally. It's still beautiful aesthetically, but emotionally you need the first act. And in Bayadère there's beautiful sections like the pas d'action, which is very intact. It's not been very changed over the years. Added later was the bronze idol, which is now the eclipse statue, because we are doing the engagement party in the Eclipse Pavilion, which is a structure that actually exists there in that same area in India. And the eclipse statue is, there are Dutch statues found in the eclipse temple. And we're not doing the exact Dutch statues, but it was the idea to have him come alive as part of the pavilion. And also the children will take part in that advertisement. But they're like a mini version of him. So they're also the mini statues of the eclipse. He has a beautiful costume, which has gold in it, but also copper. And it's sort of a tunic that comes to here. And it's going to be very different. I'm not sure we need to paint him, but we need to see it. Because on stage, we also need to see the children. If they need to be painted, maybe perhaps like the backdrop, so it looks like they come out of it. So we used all these, I would say, ideas, but we don't literally use them. We use them as our inspiration, because also the set by Jérôme Kaplan is very abstract. I think it's incredible. It looks a bit like June. It's very minimalistic. And the costume is a palette of Dutch, of course, but also, I would say, any influence that was in India at the time, because there were a lot of travelers. So it's Japanese, it's Greek, it's all the people that were, you know, melted together in that continent. So. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting way forward with the ballet. And the second act is as is. It's an abstract act with beautiful women dancing. Corps de ballet, we have 32 shades, white tutus, very little adaptation. The only thing that I made was a solo for Solor when he comes back from the first act. And I felt like he needed a lament of some sort, because we never really see his suffering and his personality, because he's always jumping and doing double capriole and double assemblée. And so I felt he needed a moment where we saw a different side of his personality to give the story more depth. So that's been really interesting to find music for that. But I have a great team with Olga Kozainova, who's helped me with the music already for Giselle and Raimonda, and now again for this, and Koen Kessels is conducting. So we're very working closely together to check all the passages and yeah, from one scene into the next, how that should be flowing. So I'm surrounded by the best people. And all of this starts always with Grisha Chichirin, who is always providing me with videos of ballets from decades ago. He has a huge archive and also documents to read about. And so yeah, I think we've kind of hit every corner that we could in the research. Yeah, so 49 years, almost 50 years. I was 17 when I came to the company, and I will leave when I'm 67, so that's like, yeah, 50 years. There's a lot of memories, so it's hard to pick a few famous famous memories, but I remember the first time I saw the Dutch National Ballet. Actually, I came with my mother, and they were doing Swan Lake, and there was 2 little alcoves in the set with trumpeters, and I was telling my mom, if I could just be one of those, I'd be happy enough. I just want to be part of this. And that's why I guess I stayed so long. I just want to be part of this. You know, it's a beautiful world. It's always sunny in the studio. You always have music. You're always creating something in your head, something beautiful, something ugly, something fierce, something bold, something that you cannot in real life. So maybe it's also an escapism, I don't know, but it's a tremendous gift and honor to be part of something like this, I think. So first I had a wonderful career because I was immediately chosen by Hans van Manen for 5 Tangos, a ballet which is still going today. And it was so wonderful because, you know, I'm tall, and I grew out very quickly to be this tall, and luckily at the time Rudy van Dantzig, who was director, loved tall women. It was in fashion, so we did a lot. And but I wasn't necessarily the perfect ballerina in the fact that, you know, I'm who I am, and flesh and blood, and not this fragile, small, easy to handle woman. And actually Hans loved that part of me, so I could be myself with him, and that felt like such a revelation and a freedom, and that gave me the chance to be myself. And we created so many ballets at the time. It felt so normal, but when I look back now, I think, God, there's so many dancers who've never really been in a creation or have worked with a great choreographer. And what a golden age that was, actually, to have him create on you, especially. Yeah, and I'll be carrying on. I'm the director of the Hans van Manen Foundation, and I've been doing that already for years together with Hans, and he helped me so much in his guidance, how to set up contacts and contracts, and make sure that his ballets are performed throughout the entire world with, you know, good lighting, good music, good everything like he wanted it. And I'm going out myself to teach the ballets by Hans, but also I have a whole team of 15 stagers. Some are from Netherlands Dance Theatre, and some from Germany, Düsseldorf, who've danced a lot of his repertoire. Because we are quite busy, sometimes it's 14 works per year, so there's more than 1 premiere per month. And everybody has their expertise. And we will continue to do that, because it's not only supposed to be me doing that, but I want to also ensure the future, that it goes down to the younger generation, and that they also pass on their knowledge, and under my guidance, and so on, so on, so on. So that's a big responsibility, to carry on his legacy, which was super important for him, but also I think for the dance world. And immensely incredible to see how not dated his works are, and still relevant, even though some of them are 50 years old, and you go, it's still modern looking. So it's a joy to work on. It's fun to do. I always knew when I was dancing that, well, I was always analyzing how rehearsals were taken by people and what was effective with dancers and what not. And I found a passion for that, and I thought, that's what I want to do when I stop. So when it was time to stop, I told Wayne Eagling, who was then director, that I wanted to be ballet master, and he gave me a job. So that's how it started. And then from there on, he appointed me to a coordinator of the artistic staff. And then when Ted Branse came in 2003, he asked me to be his right hand as being the head of the artistic staff. And then from that came in 2017, I think, I'm not sure, the position of associate artistic director. And we have Somebody asked me the other day, you know, it's when you're in this world, it's so busy, you always have to look to tomorrow. So it's very hard for me now to say what were your best memories. But I think more globally, the fact that somebody just puts his trust in you, like Hans did, like Ted did, you know, you have to just appreciate what comes your way and make the best of it, you know. And I'm extremely lucky to have met these people to inspire me. And even today, you know, we just had this rehearsal with Robin Park, who did the Eclipse statue, and I see that he comes out of the junior company, and he's quite young, and he does so well. And to be in a profession where you also can give your experience to the next generation, and then see that it actually works, and that they can bloom from it, and they come into their own talent because of a little bit of what you gave them. It's very rewarding. I think that those are the most rewarding things in my career, I think, to see other people grow and
the arm in place.
And I always try to say to the dancers, you're it now, this is it. So don't doubt yourself and don't judge yourself so much, because if you don't do it, then who's going to do it? So to give some air into this whole profession too, because it's not easy. So